The students worked with their Spanish teacher to come up with a bunch of lines that were meaningful to them. So I wasn't there for that process, but I imagined they tried out some things in English and then migrated over into Spanish. But it turned out that when they picked this text, it had a real cadence to it. It wasn't one text that was given to me, but it was a series of different lines. And I picked a few of them, 4 or 5, that worked together, had a similar cadence, had a sense of saying something across one segment to the next. And the opening one had this amazing thing where all these lines in this sort of regular rhythm ended with this S sound. Somos, los dueños, and so on. And so I thought, oh, that can be kind of a fun compositional element to this piece, something that the kids can kind of hold on to and make it almost a vocal percussion part, but built into the words themselves. And that was a challenge too, just sort of explaining how that was supposed to work, figuring out, how percussive to be, how even to notate that for the students. But I think it gave it a nice and interesting element in addition to the text itself. And then the text is very uplifting, it's very optimistic. I would probably have felt self-conscious about picking something so directly kind of positive for the students, because I would have thought that they were maybe, jaded or wanted something with a little bit of attitude, but they picked this. And that was actually really inspiring to see that what they wanted to sing about in Spanish was feeling like they were the masters of their destiny, that they could be who they wanted to be in the world. I think Kayla and I talked about it first and thought that somehow it would be more meaningful if the students could come up with their own texts, but there's something about working with another language that I think changes kids' relationship to a text and makes them maybe a little less self-conscious about singing it. If they wrote it and then they had to sing it, then suddenly it's like they're singing their own words. If it's Spanish, unless they're native Spanish speakers, then it feels a little bit removed, and that's actually useful, I think, in making it feel like they're singing a song. They're singing something that exists outside of them, and then they can be more comfortable, more themselves in approaching it. That was our theory anyway. And Spanish is such a wonderful language to set, and it's nice to kind of get outside of the comfort zone of the students a little bit in terms of having to challenge them, not just in music, but also in language. Yeah, the piece starts with a kind of build, adding these different pieces to the full, complete part of the text. So the text actually unfolds while the piece is going on, and we learn the text the same way the students would have to learn it, bit by bit. And then once the full text is in, then you also get this higher line that goes over this rhythmic build that's been happening underneath in the upper voice part, almost like a descant. And then it goes into a second section that's more unified with all 3 voices singing together and goes back and forth between those 2 musics until it climaxes with this more kind of driving build using the original rhythm to the end of the piece. And there you have the piano accompaniment really providing this stable underpinning, and I think it gets pretty exciting.